is just fantastic.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a couple of videos and a bunch of tweets concerning Donut Operator, Idubbzzz, Idubbzz's wife, or boss, and wife, maybe husband these days, it's hard to tell, and some back and forths with other creators who have opinions on the crap coming out of cucked Ian's mouth and big bossy hypocrites, his wife's mouth, and tweets. Yes. So Donut Operator, on a recent podcast episode, detailed reasons as to why Idubbzzz stopped being friends. In fact, they haven't spoken in over 5 years because of this very reason. A reason that, in hindsight, is arguably one of the most insecure reasons I could think of. Here's the relevant clip.
So, like, he went to a range day with me one time. Like, we used to talk a lot about content creation and stuff. And COVID rolls around, I get bored at home, so I make an OnlyFans where I'm showing my meat.
Really?
And, so, well, basically, I'm taking a steak and I'm rating a steak. And like,
see, that's the reaction that you're supposed to have.
Genius.
I thought it was funny. So I'd be wearing like just an apron. Of course, I'm wearing like boxers underneath. And I'd reach down and be like, "This is my OnlyFans," and this is an A5 Wagyu from down the street. And I would talk about it. And I sent it to Ian, and he got mad and called me and like said I was making fun of Anisa, and like I wasn't.
Idubbzz's wife does only Fupa Fiber, a failed adult film actor. How is this? How do you not? You realise the contradiction here, Ian, right? Now, of course, with all stories, there are two sides to any story, aren't there? In this case, multiple sides, but because Anisa is the boss, Anisa's the only opinion that matters. But we are going to go through everyone else's opinions as well, because it seems only right to include them. And I should insert, the argument of main character syndrome comes up more than once in all of this. If you know what that is, you'll understand why it feels so appropriate to mention it now when I go through more of these tweets. Idubbzzz was the first to respond by retweeting Yeet, you blocked Yeet, or was that just Hassan, by saying conveniently leaving out that your girlfriend at the time was pursuing OF, but you were too pussy to deal with the criticism, so you made a parody account. No, I don't want to be friends with a coward. Now the perspective underneath this is Ian got offended by him doing it, not the other way round. That is underneath the replies to Yeet's tweet, putting out your tweet response. This gives off the impression, Ian's response, that his brain is a bit broken. I know the discussion of CTE has come up more than once. If we are to believe in this area, yes, of course, there is something that needs dealing. But what you say is your responsibility, irrespective of the reason or the cause that leads to this inability to string together coherent thoughts. In the past, I thought it was because you were socially awkward. Now you've got a wife, you're still socially awkward, but you're also clearly tweet handicapped. Now Anisa jumped in to then start criticising Donut Operator by claiming the following. He also took us to a gun show where a child accidentally fired a gun that was loaded on sales table into the crowd, and everyone nonchalantly said ND in unison like it wasn't a big deal. From what I've been told, people will say ND to stop people from screaming and freaking out. To me, this is a very strange remark or reply to the initial tweet itself, to the initial comments from Donut Operator. But understandably, if you have to try and provide context, your best way is to make it seem like you're doing so when really you're deflecting and, you know, sensationalizing in a country where this doesn't work. And by the way, you turned replies off. Seriously. Brendan Herrera had later added additional comments, but Anisa had blocked Brendan, so Brendan couldn't set the record straight by saying, I was gonna set the record straight, but turns out she preemptively blocked me. What she's called a gun show was a live firing range, conveniently left that out for no particular reason, I'm sure. So essentially, Anisa has, unsurprisingly, told a fib, a porky pie as it were. But no one's surprised by Anisa telling lies because, well, it's in her nature. Now, fun fact also, she got community noted with Brendan Herrera's tweet because of that. And I think it's important, by the way, to get community noted when these things happen. Because if you're going to lie in this way on social media, your intention is solely poison the well. And I see where the replies were turned off. It was because you had hundreds of replies. No doubt people pointing out to you what this actually was, which makes you a pathological liar, Anisa, the mister in this marriage. Anisa's not done though. You see, she got a bit mad, a bit salty. She wasn't overly fond of the fact that people had pointed at her version of events, as it were. So, she had said, "I hate gunheads." The term the kings of, actually. It was some gun event Donut took us to at a range. People were selling guns, which was during lunch when no one was firing, and a child went to a sales table, picked up a gun that wasn't supposed to be loaded, and fired it. That was a retweet or subtweet of Brendan Herrera. The vendor was booted, the guns on the table weren't supposed to be loaded, it was very much not normal. That event made me hate gun culture. I went in with an open mind as a Canadian. Oh, that explains a lot. But it was so poorly run and the people sucked so hard I became a certified hater after that. Ian Benoit. So, the vendor did something they were not supposed to do and they enforced the rules and booted him, which is correct. Reply, gun people freak me out. Jesus. Booting someone is the bare minimum. There are rules that these events abide. Somebody broke the rules. They were punished for breaking the rules. We are lucky nobody was seriously hurt. That is the part that matters the most. People were in control of the situation and it was dealt with. But much like you, I will admit I'm not the biggest on guns. But I wouldn't freak out like this on Twitter. Replies from others. Chris Dupree. Dupree? There's only one E, so it might be Dupree. I'm not sure what the point is though. You at a range where an improper discharge happened and no one was hurt. How does this add context to his story about Ian not being friends with him anymore? Honest question, maybe I'm missing something. Good point. Reply. An event we went to had a child accidentally fired into the crowd, with a gun on a sale table that was not supposed to be loaded. Someone could have easily died. The culture there did not respect the reality of what a gun is. These aren't normal people. Actually, they are, and you're freaking out. And what you're doing is, you're hyper-focusing, with some quaint tunnel vision, onto the part that involves a child. I will agree, that is certainly something for a discussion to be had. I really do understand it. As an Englishman, we don't have many guns. I fully understand. I also understand America has this freedom to bear arms, and this accident happened, get over it. Master grunt. Yet the worst part about owning guns is the inevitable interactions with other gun people. A lot of them are just insufferable. Not all though. A range day is probably the worst place to be introduced to the firearm ownership hobby. Reply. Yeah, for sure, I agree. I know there is a section of gun owners who respect the tool they're using and have nothing but love for those people. Another reply. So, someone else's kid did something bad, no one got hurt, and Donut is somehow the bad guy for it being there with you, got it. Also another good point. Reply. Anyone could have picked that gun up, it wasn't supposed to be loaded. Again, that is not Donut operator's fault. And sometimes you do have to keep calm and carry on. But then I guess if you live in a bubble, a sanctuary state perhaps, or a place where you can huff your own farts in peace. Although I don't know if you'll be living there much longer. It is quite expensive to be in that state, isn't it? No doubt you'd go to another place like Texas and ruin that place next. Another reply. Gun culture in America is terrifying. The sole reason I've considered ownership for safety is because of the insane people around me that decide guns are more important than people. Reply. We went through the exact same thought process. I could genuinely believe Anisa doesn't own one at all anyway. Couldn't. Won't. 'Cause California. No offense to Californians who are decent, but some of you guys, much like any state, any country, any republic, are stupid. I also agree with many who've said this has nothing to do with Donut Operator. You were introduced to an event, it didn't go to plan because of one instance, but it does tell me Anisa is the type to get really easily triggered by one thing going wrong on a day. But Anisa's a massive hypocrite anyway. Anisa's been calling out people for the amount of money they spend on things, yet posing with a $4,000 bag. Something which Ethan Klein hammered her for on Instagram. Anisa once claimed that she didn't want a ring that was over $1,000, yet does have a 4K bag. Now this bag has got a bit of attention, especially because of the recent findings that Creator Clash would have benefited them 30-something% of the revenue, and that, or profits, I can't remember which. Doesn't matter. To me, I understand if you're the promoter taking a percentage, because that's quite common with boxing events. 30-something% is actually more than what typical promoters take. So this is not promotional. This is very much a con that comes across as some people, two in particular, taking a cut that they can then write off as charitable. Gotta love them tax cuts, but if you live in a state where the tax is already really high, what you should do is impact the state to make the changes so the taxes are lower, right? Yeah, that would be the smart move, rather than abusing the system and the loopholes to take money. Now others have pointed out that if you looked at the terms and conditions and Q&As for Creator Clash, no one ever said it wasn't, and that this was already known. I'll be honest, much like reading Apple's terms of service when you have to have an update and you scroll, no one's reading it, which means yes, in about 10-15 years there will be a massive increase in human-sent iPads. Now, via Idubbzz's favourite Twitter account, Comment Cop, Idubbzzz confirmed in a new video that he and Anisa plan to take 34% of the charity event money, but they were definitely going to donate it back later. Here is the relevant clip.
But the main controversy, I would say, is that it was revealed with the change of ownership that Anisa and I, because we're 1/3 ownership of Creator Clash the business, that we were getting 34% of the profit share. We weren't anticipating this event doing well. Like, we wanted to do well enough to pay back the investors, of course. So that's one of the reasons that we were, okay with the profit share thing. But another part of it as well is that the contract wasn't structured in a way that the profit share could just directly go to charity. It was told to us, like, you could just donate your portion of the profit share to charity after the event.
This is where people have latched onto this as, oh, well, we already knew this because it was in that little terms of service thing. Comments on his latest video, Concern Trolling, are destroying him, basically. No trolling, I'm just genuinely concerned. The level of cognitive dissonance Ian is displaying here is very alarming. I'm honestly worried about him. He seems like he might be crashing out and possibly even that word to that word. You think he pooped himself while filming this? Guys, is Anisa's husband okay? This is going to feed families in the commentary community. It won't feed mine. I get like 5k views. Although it's just me and my dogs. Dog treats on the wish list. Just thought I'd let you know. This is how I know I'm doing good in my life. I never ever heard concerned trolling was a thing. Did Idubbzzz forget the last 2 videos he made? I miss when you counted how many jalapeno tips were in Subway sandwiches. As you can see, this is not going his way. Ethan decided to drop a series of Instagram stories taking aim at Idubbzzz by saying, please tune into the show tomorrow for what might end up being the most humiliating expose of all time. Ian, did you see this example of concerned trolling? Using his wife, Ian's wife that is, or husband, who had said, okay, it's time for loved ones to step up for real. Parents, partner, someone, I'm saying this so genuinely. It's okay to ask for help. Please get help. Ian, have you seen this example of concerned trolling? 1 hour video, the content cop, which was absolute dog plop. And is Ian the dumbest person alive? Clip-wise, it's one of the worst things for Ian, and I should play it.
Subscribed since the Overgrowth Let's Plays. Just want to say that this video really missed the mark. Hope that you can do better. Hope that you can do better is such a great thing to say. It's like, you're a piece of shit. Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help, maybe if he stops harassing other creators, maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find peace and we can rekindle our friendship.
To me, I feel like as time has gone by, Ian is starting to fall apart, as if the very fabric of his being down to the genetic code itself is degrading at an alarming rate. You need to get help, because at this point I'm not convinced there's a path back for you. Everyone has a chance at redemption. Being cucked doesn't offer much of one. Okay, I think you're a lolcow now. Oh, never mind. As we've reached the end of the video, I'd love to know what you all think. Please do let me know in the comments down below. I shall be streaming on Twitch tonight and on Kick as well. Hope to see you there. If not, I'm playing Star Trucker. Hope you have a wonderful day and thank you all so much for listening.